What would you do if your spouse's ex suddenly reappeared in their life? Would you trust them? Would you worry? I thought I knew my wife. I thought our marriage was solid, unshakable even. But when her ex-boyfriend reached out about an old work project, I had no idea that single message would destroy everything we built together. This is the story of how a simple reconnection turned into the worst betrayal of my life, and how I discovered the truth in the most devastating way possible. Stay with me, because what happened next will shock you. Before we dive in, if you enjoy real stories about relationships, betrayal, and life lessons, make sure to hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell. Trust me, you won't want to miss what happens in this story. Let me take you back to where it all began. My name is irrelevant now, but what matters is that I was living what I thought was the perfect life. My wife, let's call her Sarah, and I had been married for 6 years. We met at a friend's wedding, one of those magical moments where everything just clicks. She was intelligent, beautiful, ambitious, and we fell hard for each other. Sarah worked as a marketing director for a tech company, and she was incredible at her job. I worked in finance, and while our careers were demanding, we always made time for each other. We had rituals. Sunday morning breakfasts where we'd cup together, Thursday date nights, no exceptions. We'd talk about everything, laugh at inside jokes that nobody else understood, and support each other through the stressful moments that life inevitably throws your way. Our friends called us relationship goals. Her parents loved me, my parents adored her. We had just bought our dream house in a quiet suburban neighborhood, with a backyard perfect for the kids we planned to have someday. Everything was aligned. Everything was perfect. Or so I thought. Looking back now, I realize how naive I was, how blind. But isn't that how these stories always go? You never see the disaster coming until it's already destroyed everything in its path. Sarah and I communicated well, or at least I believed we did. We'd talk about our days, our frustrations at work, our dreams for the future. She knew my passwords, I knew hers. Not because we were checking on each other, but because we had nothing to hide. Complete transparency, complete trust. That trust was about to become my greatest weakness. It started on a Tuesday evening in late September. I remember because we had just finished watching our favorite show, and Sarah was scrolling through her phone while I cleaned up the dinner dishes. Suddenly, she went quiet. Not the comfortable silence we usually shared, but something different, something tense. "Everything okay?" I asked, drying my hands on a towel. She looked up, and for a split second I saw something flash across her face. Surprise? Anxiety? But it vanished so quickly I convinced myself I'd imagined it. "Yeah, totally fine," she said, forcing a smile. "Just got a weird message from someone I used to work with." "Oh yeah? Who?" She hesitated, and that hesitation should have been my first red flag. "Remember I told you about that big campaign I worked on at my old company, the one that won all those awards?" I nodded. She'd mentioned it before, how it was a career-defining project that had helped her land her current position. "Well, the creative director from that project just reached out. His name is Marcus. He's apparently writing a case study about successful campaigns, and he wants to interview me about our process back then." Marcus. I didn't recognize the name, but why would I? This was years before Sarah and I met. "That's cool," I said, genuinely meaning it. "It'll be nice to reminisce about one of your biggest wins." "Yeah," she said, but her tone was off. Flat. "I'm just surprised he reached out after all this time." I walked over and kissed the top of her head. "Well, you did amazing work. Makes sense he'd want to include you." She smiled at me then, but something about it felt wrong. It didn't reach her eyes the way her real smiles did. That night, Sarah was distracted. She kept checking her phone, typing responses, then deleting them. I watched her from the corner of my eye as I pretended to read my book. Each time her phone lit up, her whole body tensed. Is Marcus being pushy about this interview? I finally asked. She jumped slightly, like she'd forgotten I was there. What? No, just trying to figure out scheduling. You know how crazy my calendar is right now. I accepted the explanation because I wanted to. Because the alternative, the possibility that something else was happening, was too uncomfortable to consider. Over the next few days, Sarah started acting differently. She'd take phone calls in other rooms. She'd smile at her screen in ways that made my stomach turn, though I couldn't explain why. She started dressing differently for work, taking more care with her appearance. When I complimented her, she'd brush it off, saying she just felt like making more of an effort. The Thursday date night tradition we held sacred, she canceled it, saying she had a work deadline. Then it happened again the following week, and the week after that. Sarah, we haven't had a proper date in 3 weeks, I said one evening, trying to keep the frustration out of my voice. I know, I'm sorry. Work has just been insane lately. This new campaign is killing me. Maybe this weekend we could... Actually, I need to meet with Marcus this weekend, Saturday afternoon, to do that interview about the old campaign. It shouldn't take long. Something cold settled in my chest. On Saturday? Can't you do it over a video call during the week? He's only in town for the weekend. He lives in Chicago now. It would be weird to say no after he's coming all this way. I wanted to argue. I wanted to say that our marriage should come before some interview about a project from her past, but I didn't want to be that husband, the controlling one, the insecure one. So I swallowed my concerns and nodded. Okay. Where are you meeting him? Just at that coffee shop downtown, the one with the good pastries. Want me to come along? I could sit at another table, get some work done. No. She said it too quickly, too forcefully. Then she softened. I mean, that would be weird, right? It's a professional interview. Having my husband there would make it awkward. She was right. It would be weird. So why did every instinct in my body scream that something was wrong? Saturday arrived, and Sarah spent 2 hours getting ready for what was supposed to be a simple coffee shop interview. She changed outfits 3 times. She wore perfume, the expensive kind she usually saved for special occasions. She did her makeup with a level of precision I hadn't seen since our wedding day. "You look beautiful," I said, and I meant it. But I also felt sick. "Thanks," she said, barely glancing at me as she checked her reflection one more time. "I should be back by dinner." "For a coffee interview?" "Well, he might want to grab lunch after. To catch up, we were pretty good friends back then." Friends. The word hung in the air between us like a lie waiting to be discovered. After she left, I tried to distract myself. I cleaned the garage, I watched sports, I called my brother and pretended everything was fine. But by 3 in the afternoon, I couldn't take it anymore. I texted Sarah. "Hey, how's the interview going?" No response. An hour passed, then 2. I called. It went straight to voicemail. By 6 o'clock, I was pacing the house like a caged animal. Every possible scenario ran through my mind, each one worse than the last. Was she hurt? Was her phone dead? Or was she ignoring me because she was doing something she knew would destroy us? She finally walked through the door at 7:30. Her hair was slightly messy. Her lipstick was gone. She looked flushed, and she wouldn't meet my eyes. "Where were you?" I asked, and I hated how my voice cracked. "I've been calling you for hours." "My phone died," she said quickly, too quickly. "The interview ran long, and then we got dinner, and I forgot my charger." "You were gone for over 6 hours, Sarah." "It wasn't just the interview. We had a lot to catch up on. I didn't realize how much time had passed. I'm sorry." She moved past me toward the stairs, and I caught a scent that wasn't her perfume. Cologne. Men's cologne. "Sarah," my voice was steel now, "who is Marcus to you?" She froze on the 3rd step, her back to me. The silence stretched so long I thought she might not answer at all. "He was a colleague." "Just a colleague?" Another pause. "We dated, Briefly, a long time ago, before you. It ended when the project finished and we both moved on. It didn't mean anything. The room started spinning. You told me this was about a case study, a professional interview. It was. It is. But yes, we also caught up as old friends. That's all. That's all? I climbed the stairs and stood in front of her, forcing her to look at me. You spent 6 hours with your ex-boyfriend. You dressed up like you were going on a date, you ignored my calls, and you came home smelling like another man's cologne. And you're telling me that's all? Tears welled up in her eyes. Don't do this. Don't make this into something it's not. I would never cheat on you. You know me. But did I? In that moment, standing in our home that suddenly felt like foreign territory, I realized I didn't know anything at all. The next few weeks were torture. Sarah swore nothing happened, that she'd never betray me, that Marcus was just an old friend and the meeting was innocent. She showed me her phone, her messages with Marcus. They seemed professional, casual, nothing incriminating. I wanted to believe her. I desperately wanted to believe her, but something fundamental had shifted. The trust we'd built over 6 years had developed a crack, and cracks have a way of spreading. She started going out more often, dinners with work friends, late nights at the office, weekend conferences. Each time she left, I wondered if she was really going where she said she was. Each time she came home, I searched her face for signs of betrayal. We stopped being intimate. Not all at once, but gradually. She was always too tired, too stressed, too distracted. When we did try, it felt mechanical, like she was somewhere else entirely. Our conversations became shallow. No more deep talks about our dreams, no more laughing at inside jokes. We were two strangers sharing a house, going through the motions of a marriage that existed in name only. I started noticing other things. She password protected her phone, something she'd never done before. She'd take showers immediately after coming home, even when she'd only been gone a few hours. She started sleeping on her side of the bed, maintaining a careful distance between us. My friends noticed I'd changed. I was withdrawn, irritable, distracted. My brother asked me point blank if everything was okay with Sarah and me. I lied and said we were fine, because admitting the truth, saying the words out loud, would make it real. 2 months after that first meeting with Marcus, I came home early from work. I'd left my laptop at home and needed it for an afternoon meeting. As I pulled into the driveway, I noticed Sarah's car was there. Strange, since she should have been at work. I walked into the house and heard her voice coming from upstairs. She was laughing. That genuine, unreserved laugh I hadn't heard in months. The laugh she used to give me. I quietly climbed the stairs, my heart hammering in my chest. Her voice was coming from our bedroom. I know. It's complicated. But being with you again, it reminds me of who I used to be, before everything got so routine and predictable. I stood outside the door, my hand on the knob, paralyzed. He's a good guy. He doesn't deserve this, but I can't help how I feel. When I'm with you, I feel alive again. I burst through the door and Sarah jumped like she'd been electrocuted. She was sitting on our bed, phone pressed to her ear, wearing one of her nicest dresses in the middle of a workday. I have to go, she said quickly into the phone and ended the call. Who was that? I demanded. A friend from work, just girl talk. Don't lie to me, Sarah, not anymore. I heard you. Who were you really talking to? She stood up, and I saw something die in her eyes. The last remnants of whatever we'd had together. You weren't supposed to be home. That's what you're concerned about? Not that I caught you, but that I wasn't supposed to know? It's not what you think. Then tell me what it is.
I was shouting now, all the frustration and pain and betrayal of the past months erupting out of me. Tell me the truth for once. Fine, she shouted back, tears streaming down her face. Yes, I was talking to Marcus. Yes, we've been seeing each other. And yes, I have feelings for him. Are you happy now? The world stopped. Everything I'd feared, everything I'd tried to convince myself wasn't true, was confirmed in that single moment. How long? My voice was barely a whisper. Does it matter? How long, Sarah? Since that first meeting, we never stopped. The interview was just an excuse to see each other again. I sat down on the edge of the bed, my legs unable to hold me anymore. Did you sleep with him? She didn't answer, which was an answer in itself. In this house? In our bed? No, she said quickly. Never here. I wouldn't. But you would betray me. You would throw away 6 years of marriage. You would lie to my face every single day while you were with someone else? I'm sorry, she sobbed. I never meant for this to happen. I love you, I do. But when Marcus came back into my life, all these old feelings resurfaced. The excitement, the passion, the way things used to be before life got so routine and predictable. He reminded me of who I was before I became just a wife, just another person going through the motions. So this is my fault? I made our life too boring for you? No, that's not what I'm saying. You're a good man. You've been a wonderful husband. But maybe that's the problem. Everything with you is good and safe and predictable. With Marcus, it's exciting. It's spontaneous. It's alive. I looked at this woman I'd pledged my life to, this person I'd trusted completely, and realized I'd never really known her at all.
I moved out that night, packed a bag, and went to my brother's place. Sarah called and texted constantly, saying she'd made a mistake, that she chose me, that she'd cut off all contact with Marcus. But the words meant nothing. They were just sounds, empty and hollow. The next few weeks were a blur. I moved through my days like a ghost. Work became mechanical. Food had no taste. Sleep was impossible. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw her face, heard her words, felt the betrayal crash over me like waves. My brother convinced me to see a therapist. Dr. Reynolds was a kind woman in her 50s who specialized in trauma and betrayal. In our first session, I broke down completely. I feel like such an idiot, I told her. All the signs were there, and I ignored them. I wanted to believe her so badly that I let myself be blind. That's not stupidity, Dr. Reynolds said gently. That's love. You trusted your partner, as you should be able to in a marriage. She violated that trust. That's on her, not you. But it didn't feel that way. It felt like I'd failed somehow. Like I wasn't enough to keep my wife happy. Sarah kept reaching out. Long emails explaining her perspective, trying to justify what she'd done. She painted herself as confused, torn between two men, struggling with an identity crisis. She claimed Marcus had pursued her relentlessly, that she'd tried to resist but eventually gave in. She said she realized now that she'd made a terrible mistake, that I was the one she truly loved, that we could work through this if I'd just give her another chance. I almost fell for it. Almost convinced myself that people make mistakes, that marriages are worth fighting for, that forgiveness is noble and right. Then my friend Jake, who worked at the same company as Sarah, called me. Man, I don't know if I should be telling you this, he said, his voice heavy with reluctance, but you deserve to know. Sarah and that Marcus guy had been seen together all over the city. Restaurants, hotels, parks. They're not even trying to hide it anymore. My heart, which I thought was already broken beyond repair, shattered into even smaller pieces. When? I asked. This whole week, even after you moved out. I'm sorry, man. I thought she was trying to fix things with you, but it looks like she's just playing both sides. So all her apologies, all her claims of regret and remorse were just more lies. She wasn't sorry. She was just sorry she got caught. I called a divorce attorney the next day. My attorney, Margaret Chen, was a sharp woman who'd seen countless cases like mine. She was sympathetic, but practical. Infidelity cases can get messy, she explained during our first meeting. But you have a clear case here. We'll file on grounds of adultery. Given that you've been the primary breadwinner and she committed the infidelity, we should be able to negotiate a favorable settlement. The divorce process was brutal. Sarah contested everything. She claimed I had been emotionally distant, that I'd neglected her needs, that the breakdown of our marriage was equally both our faults. She wanted half of everything: the house, my retirement accounts, spousal support. Through the discovery process, more truths emerged. Sarah's credit card statements showed hotel charges going back months before that first supposed interview with Marcus. She'd been planning this reunion long before it happened. She'd reached out to him first, not the other way around. Text messages recovered from her cloud backup painted an even more devastating picture. She and Marcus had been reminiscing about their past relationship for over a year, gradually escalating from innocent nostalgia to outright emotional affair, and then finally to physical betrayal. The most painful messages were the ones where she mocked me, called me boring, said I was a good provider but lacked excitement, joked about how I never suspected anything. Each message was a knife wound, a betrayal on top of the original betrayal. But the worst discovery came from her best friend, Melissa. Melissa had been there for our entire relationship, a bridesmaid at our wedding, someone I considered a friend too. After the separation became public, Melissa reached out to me privately. "I need to tell you something," she said when we met for coffee. "I should have told you months ago, but Sarah swore me to secrecy, and I stupidly believed her when she said she'd end things." My stomach dropped. "What are you talking about?" "Sarah was planning to leave you for Marcus. She'd been talking about it for weeks. She was just waiting for the right time, probably trying to secure her finances first. The only reason she's fighting the divorce now is because Marcus suddenly got cold feet." I stared at Melissa, unable to process what I was hearing. "What do you mean, cold feet?" "Marcus is married too. Did you know that? His wife found out about the affair. She gave him an ultimatum: end it with Sarah or she'd divorce him and take their kids. He chose his family. So now Sarah's stuck. She destroyed your marriage for a man who doesn't want her anymore." The irony would have been funny if it wasn't so devastatingly sad. Sarah had thrown away everything we built together for a fantasy that evaporated the moment it faced real consequences. Against my better judgment and Margaret's advice, I agreed to meet Sarah in person one last time. She'd requested it, saying she needed closure, that there were things she needed to explain face to face. We met at a neutral location, a park where we'd had many happy memories. Looking at her across the picnic table, I barely recognized the woman I'd married. She looked thin, worn down, older somehow. "Thank you for meeting me," she said quietly. I didn't respond, just waited for whatever she wanted to say. "I know nothing I say can fix this," she began. "I know I destroyed everything, but I need you to understand that I never meant to hurt you. But you did hurt me. Sarah, you destroyed me. And you know what the worst part is? It's not even the cheating. It's the lying. Every single day you looked me in the eye and lied. You let me worry I was going crazy, that I was being paranoid and controlling. You gaslighted me while you were betraying me. Tears rolled down her face. You're right. I was a coward. I convinced myself that I was protecting you by hiding it, but really I was just protecting myself. I wanted to have both of you, the security and stability you provided and the excitement Marcus represented. So I was just your safe backup plan? No, that's not... She stopped, then sighed. Maybe. I don't know. I was confused. When Marcus reached out, it was like opening a door to my past, to a version of myself I'd left behind. I was young when we dated, wild and spontaneous. With you, I'd become this responsible adult, and part of me resented it. Resented you for being so good, so stable, so predictable. So you punished me for being a good husband? I know how it sounds. I know how twisted it is. But when you're in it, when you're caught up in the affair fog, you don't think clearly. You justify everything. You tell yourself stories to make it okay. And now? Now that Marcus chose his family over you, how do you feel? She flinched like I'd slapped her. That's not why I want to fix things with you. Isn't it, though? You only wanted me back after he rejected you. When you thought he had him, you were ready to leave me completely. Melissa told me everything. Her face went pale. She had no right. She had every right. Someone should have been honest with me. Everyone around us knew what was happening except me. You made me look like a fool, Sarah. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I was selfish and cruel, and I deserve everything that's happening to me now. But please, please believe me when I say I love you. I never stopped loving you. You don't destroy people you love. Love isn't perfect, and people in love make mistakes, but what you did wasn't a mistake. It was a choice. Hundreds of choices. Every time you texted him, every time you met him, every time you lied to me and then came home and kissed me goodnight like nothing was wrong. Those were all choices. Please don't leave, she begged. We can get counseling. We can work through this. Lots of couples survive infidelity. Maybe some do, but they survive when both people want to rebuild, when there's genuine remorse and changed behavior. You only regret this because you got caught and because the man you left me for didn't want you. You don't regret betraying me. You regret losing your safety net. I walked away from that park, from that conversation, from that chapter of my life. Sarah called after me, but I didn't turn back. There was nothing left to say.
The divorce took 8 months to finalize. Sarah fought tooth and nail for everything, but the evidence was overwhelmingly against her. The adultery was proven. The financial record showed she'd spent marital funds on her affair. The text messages demonstrated premeditation and planning. In the end, I got the house. I kept my retirement accounts intact. Sarah got some of the furniture, her car, and a small settlement that was far less than the 50% she'd demanded. There was no spousal support ordered, given her infidelity and her own substantial income. The day the divorce was finalized, I expected to feel relief. Instead, I felt empty, hollow, like I'd lost something I could never get back, even though I knew staying would have been worse. My therapist helped me understand that I wasn't just grieving the end of my marriage. I was grieving the loss of the future I'd envisioned, the partner I thought I had, and the version of myself that had existed before betrayal. changed me fundamentally. You'll never be that trusting again, Dr. Reynolds told me honestly, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. You'll be more careful, more observant, more protective of yourself. You've learned hard lessons about people's capacity for deception. So, I'm damaged now? I asked. No, she said firmly. You're wounded, but wounds heal. You're wiser, but wisdom isn't damage. You're different, but different doesn't mean broken. You survived something that destroys many people. That takes incredible strength.
6 months after the divorce was final, I ran into Melissa again. We'd stayed in loose contact, mostly because she felt guilty about not telling me sooner about Sarah's affair. "How are you doing?" she asked, and I could tell she genuinely wanted to know. "Better," I said, and it was true. The sharp pain had dulled to a manageable ache. "Taking things one day at a time." "That's good. Really good." She hesitated, then asked, "Do you want to know how Sarah's doing?" Part of me wanted to say no, to leave that part of my life completely behind. But curiosity won out. "Sure." "She's struggling," Melissa admitted. "Lost her job, actually. Apparently, the affair with Marcus created a hostile work environment once it came out. He was technically her supervisor for a while, so there were ethics violations. The company let them both go to avoid liability. I felt a twinge of something. Not quite satisfaction, but maybe justice. And Marcus? Divorced. His wife followed through on her threat. He's living in a studio apartment, paying child support and alimony. Sarah tried to reconnect with him after everything settled, but he wanted nothing to do with her. Said she'd ruined his life. The irony wasn't lost on me. 2 marriages destroyed, multiple lives upended, careers damaged, all for an affair that neither party even wanted once the fantasy collided with reality. "Sarah's been asking about you," Melissa continued carefully. "She wants to know if there's any chance, any possibility that you two could talk again someday. Maybe rebuild a friendship." I thought about it for exactly 3 seconds. "No. Tell her I wish her well, genuinely. I hope she gets help and finds happiness, but we're done. Completely and permanently done." Melissa nodded. "I figured, but I promised her I'd ask. For what it's worth, I think you're making the right choice. Some things can't be fixed, and trying only makes the wound worse."
It's been 2 years now since Sarah's ex-boyfriend first contacted her. 2 years since my marriage began its slow collapse. 1 year since the divorce was finalized. Life looks different now. I sold the house, too many memories, and moved to a downtown apartment with floor-to-ceiling windows and a view of the city. I changed jobs, taking a position that paid more, but more importantly, excited me in ways my old job never did. I've been dating, carefully and cautiously. I'm upfront about my past, about my trust issues, about the fact that I'm probably more guarded than I used to be. Some women are put off by this. Others appreciate the honesty. I'm learning that the right person won't see my caution as a flaw, but as evidence that I value genuine connection and won't settle for anything less than complete honesty. My therapist says I've made remarkable progress. I can talk about what happened without breaking down. I can see Sarah's actions as reflections of her character, not deficiencies of mine. I understand now that I couldn't have prevented her betrayal by being a better husband because I was already a good husband. Her choices were about her, not me. I've reconnected with old friends I'd lost touch with during my marriage. I've taken up hobbies I'd abandoned. I've learned to find joy in simple things. A good book, a perfect cup of coffee, a long run on a clear morning. Do I still think about Sarah sometimes? Of course. You don't spend years of your life with someone and simply forget they existed. But when I think of her now, it's without the sharp pain that used to accompany her memory. I can acknowledge the good times we had, while also accepting that the relationship was fundamentally flawed in ways I couldn't see at the time. I've learned that people can present one face to the world while hiding something entirely different underneath. I've learned that trust, once broken, is nearly impossible to fully rebuild. I've learned that sometimes love isn't enough when it's not accompanied by honesty, respect, and integrity. But I've also learned that I'm stronger than I thought, that I can survive devastation and come out the other side, that I deserve a partner who chooses me every single day, not just when their other options fall through. The story of my marriage's end isn't a happy one, but the story of what I've built from its ashes, that's a story still being written, and I'm finally excited to see where it goes. To anyone listening who might be going through something similar, here's what I want you to know. The pain you feel right now is real and valid. The betrayal cuts deep, and the healing takes time. There will be days when you feel like you'll never be okay again. But you will be. Not the same person you were. That person is gone, and trying to resurrect them is futile. But you'll become someone new, someone stronger, someone who knows their worth and refuses to accept less than they deserve. Trust your instincts. If something feels wrong, it probably is. Don't ignore red flags because you want so badly for everything to be okay. Don't make yourself small to accommodate someone else's bad behavior. And don't ever let anyone convince you that their betrayal is somehow your fault. You deserve better. You deserve honesty. You deserve someone who chooses you consistently, not just when it's convenient. And one day, when enough time has passed and enough healing has occurred, you'll realize that the end of your marriage wasn't the end of your story. It was just the end of a chapter. A painful chapter, certainly, but also one that taught you invaluable lessons about yourself, about relationships, and about the kind of life you want to build. My wife's ex-boyfriend reaching out over a past work project destroyed my marriage. But looking back now, I realize it didn't destroy me. It changed me, challenged me, and ultimately forced me to rebuild myself into someone stronger. And if I could go back and prevent it all from happening, I honestly don't know if I would. Because the person I am now, the life I have now, the clarity I have now about what I want and deserve, I wouldn't have any of that without going through this fire. So, to Sarah, wherever she is, I genuinely wish her well. I hope she's learned from her mistakes. I hope she's gotten the help she needs. I hope she never hurts anyone the way she hurt me. And to Marcus, the catalyst for this entire disaster, I have nothing to say. You're simply not worth my energy or thought. But to you, listening to this story, thank you for being here. Thank you for allowing me to share what happened. If my pain can help even one person recognize the signs of betrayal in their own relationship, or give one person the courage to leave when they know they should, then maybe something good came from all of this after all. Life is too short to spend it with someone who doesn't value you. Choose yourself. Choose honesty. Choose a future built on genuine love and respect, not lies and betrayal. That's my story. The story of how a simple message from an ex-boyfriend changed everything. How trust was broken, how a marriage ended, and how I survived the worst betrayal of my life. If you made it this far, thank you for listening. Please hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and share your own thoughts and experiences in the comments below. Have you ever dealt with betrayal? How did you move forward? Let's support each other in the comments. Remember, you're stronger than you think. You deserve better than betrayal. And your story isn't over yet. Until next time, take care of yourselves.